Alright guys, for the next activity, a study of Olympic winning times. Some of you that were in my Algebra 2 class, either last year or 2 years ago, should be somewhat familiar with this content because this has a lot to do with linear regression, which we spent about a week and a half on that in Algebra 2. I believe also Ms. Cox talked about it a little bit in pre-cal, so this should be fairly familiar to you. And some of the questions on here will straight up be questions like what you will see on the AP exam come May. So definitely we have to get this activity down. I would be willing to bet that there's probably going to be a free response question on regression with this coming test. So let's make sure we have all this stuff down. So it gives you a data table that shows the men and women's winning time for the 100-meter dash in the Olympics from 1928 to 2012 for men and women. Okay, and number one, it wants you to graph the data set and to see what things look like. And I'm going to show you how to do that on the calculator. So give me just a second to pull up my calculator, and we will do that. My calculator app keeps closing out. I don't really know why. It's kind of bizarre. Hope everybody's having a good summer. So what we want to do, okay, you should have one of these calculators. If you do not have a TI-84 Plus CE, then I probably can loan one out to you at the beginning of the school year, okay, but you definitely need one for the test and for homework and all that good stuff, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to go to Stat, you're going to go to Edit, and then I'm going to clear out what I have. So at the top of L1, if I press Clear, Enter, it clears out everything in L1. If you hit delete, it's going to delete the whole list, and then you're going to have to go to Stat, Setup Editor, okay? And then that'll get you back to having L1 through whatever you want to go through. All right, so I'm going to flip to the back and look at my data set. Also notice it says that the year 0 is the year 1900. So for my L1, I'm going to be typing in the year. I'm just going to do the men's, and you can do the women's questions on your own. You're just kind of the same thing. We'll kind of skip around the activity. So if 1900 is the year 0, then 1928 is going to be 28. 32, 36, 48. I guess we skipped some Olympic years in there. 52, 56, 60, 64, 68, 72, 76. This is really time consuming, I'm sorry, but it's giving you good calculator practice. You will not have to actually do this on the AP exam, but it is good to know where it comes from. 84, 88, 92, 96, 2000 will be the year 100 because it's 100 years after 1900. 104, 108, and 112. All right, and then for L2, you're going to type in, again, I'm going to do men's times because it's the first one on the list. It's really time consuming. Let me see if I can do it with my keyboard and speed things up a little bit. Nope, don't want to adjust brightness. You know, 52 is 10.4, 10.5, 10.2, 10.0. I'm just going to put 10. It would have autocorrected to that anyways. 9.95, 10.14. Notice we added in, looks like a second decimal place in terms of our data recording. So that's not 1.25, 10.25. 9.99, 9.92, 9.96, 9.84, 9.87, 9.85, 9.69, 0.63. Oh, 63. Ah! There we go. I probably messed up something there maybe. Hopefully not though. Okay, so you can type in your data, and then you can actually do the scatter plot on the calculator. So over here above y equals, which you should be familiar with using, it says stat plot. Go to y equals plot 1, L1, L2, that's where we just typed our data. We want to turn that on. And we want our data to be a scatter plot. We'll use some of these other ones later on in the year, but right now we're doing scatter plot, and we want this one. Okay, and I'm just going to press zoom, and if I go down to zoom stat, which is option 9, something's wrong. Man, what did I do? Dimension mismatch, so that makes me think I skipped a number. I did 112.9.63. .69. I don't see my error. Where did I mess up at? 2.14. 2.5.4. 3. Should be 3 of those. Hell, what did I mess up? I'm having a really hard time seeing this because I'm old. I used the Face app last night, and I think it really did make me old. Well, anyways, I'm just going to pretend like I didn't mess up. It's not going to affect our data that much in our scatter plot. Hey, bud. My kid just woke up from nap, so we'll see if maybe I can calm him down. All right. So once I've done that, okay, now that I've fixed that, so let's go. Y equals, let's clear that out. I don't want my Y1 in there anyways. Okay, so second, stat plot, scatter plot, L1, L2, zoom, stat, zoom 9. And you can see this is going down. So you would sketch that on number 1 for the men's time. It'll be something like that. Yours might be slightly different because you probably didn't make an error like I did. But that is what you should have. Okay? So that's kind of part 1 of number 1. Okay. Number 2, explain why the year was placed on the horizontal axis and the winning time on the vertical axis. Use appropriate mathematical language in the explanation. So this would be number 2. All right. Number 1 was the graph. Number 2, because the let's see where I'm at. The time is the dependent variable because it depends on what year. Okay. You cannot change the year. And the year is the independent. It does not depend on anything. The year is just the year. You're given that, you plug that in to find the time. Okay. We want to estimate time. That's another thing you could throw in there. Okay, we want to estimate time. With regression, you are always estimating the y value. Okay? You cannot estimate the x value. You cannot estimate the year. So that doesn't work that way. We want to estimate the time for years that we don't know. So that's number 2. Number 3, based on the appearance of the graph, is there a positive, negative, or no correlation? Well, with men, it looks like it is decreasing over time. This line would have a negative slope, so therefore it's going to have a negative correlation. All right, number 4, what number would be needed on the horizontal axis to correspond to the year 1850? That would be negative 10, because that's, nope, not negative 10. Change that, negative 50. I can't do math. Negative 50. Okay. All right, I will be right back. This is going to be part 1. Part 2 will pick up right after this.